Welcome back to today's Explainer. We're jumping straight into a wild one today, a really fascinating, dramatic case study all about workplace betrayal, corporate cover-ups, and the digital footprints that ultimately expose them. We're cracking open the Office Drama Stories case files to look at an incident perfectly titled, "The Printer Knew Before the Board." So picture the scene, right? It's a super quiet office, soft lights, keyboards are totally untouched, the city outside is barely waking up. The room feels completely ordinary, but a massive corporate leak is about to happen right out in the open. And the culprit? The office printer.
After everything that happened here, silence never felt peaceful anymore. It felt like someone holding their breath. That observation comes from Maya Bennett, a project strategist. And honestly, it just perfectly captures the tension of a workplace that has completely lost its trust. You know that feeling? She walks into the office, coffee in hand, and realizes the silence isn't calm at all. It's incredibly heavy. Because the inciting incident has already gone down before anyone even badged in for the day. At exactly 7:12 a.m., a highly confidential board memo about a major restructuring mysteriously prints itself on the shared floor printer. The paper trail is just sitting right there, waiting to ignite the whole office. Section 1. The Early Morning Mystery, a Confidential Leak. So by the time the team actually trickles in and gathers around, panic sets in fast. And as you'd expect, human nature takes over. A manager named Rebecca immediately grabs for the easiest, most convenient story she can find. She doesn't point a finger directly, but she heavily implies that Maya, who used to have access to sensitive files, must have panic leaked this memo. It's such a classic toxic workplace move, right? The office prefers a familiar suspect over a really uncomfortable question. But Maya? She doesn't get defensive. She looks right past the accusations and zeroes in on the physical evidence on the page. She notices these tiny, specific anomalies. Like the 7:12 a.m. timestamp doesn't align with anyone's actual arrival. The file's naming convention is strangely off. There was zero standard digital notification triggered. And get this, even the font in the memo header is incorrect. Maya realizes these aren't just random glitches. They're breadcrumbs. This triggers a profound realization for her. She quietly notes, a clean mistake is still a mistake. A clean pattern is something else. She knows instantly that this wasn't a simple accident or some clumsy error by a rogue employee. No way. This is a calculated, systemic move, and with that realization, she completely bypasses the buzzing office gossip and goes straight to Noah in IT to ask for the server logs. She is just totally done with false narratives moving faster than hard facts. Section 2. Controlling the narrative. Weaponizing tone. Now, asking for those logs? That sets off massive alarms for the people who actually orchestrated this whole leak. As Maya gets closer to the truth, the guilty parties, specifically Rebecca and a senior executive named Victor Hale, realize they're rapidly losing control of the situation. So instead of helping find the truth, they launch a campaign to discredit Maya. And this brilliantly illustrates the clash of tactics you always see in a corporate cover-up. On one side, Rebecca starts weaponizing corporate speak. She's suddenly scheduling a culture alignment huddle and demanding tone accountability. But on the other side, Maya and her team lead, Daniel, are strictly sticking to words like facts, evidence, and logs. Rebecca is desperately trying to shift the battleground from what actually happened to how people are talking about what happened. Maya synthesizes this psychological tactic perfectly in her notebook. She writes, "When truth threatens power, tone becomes the trial." It is a textbook example of tone policing. Rebecca is using it to make the whistleblower look like the suspect. She's essentially saying, hey Maya, you're being way too aggressive about finding the truth, so actually you're the problem. It's a super manipulative way to ask the team to stop evaluating the evidence and start evaluating who sounds easier to punish. But then, the cycle of gaslighting gets completely shattered. Daniel, Maya's team lead, finally stands up, closes his laptop, and delivers this absolute showstopper of a quote. "We are not having another meeting where the person with proof has to defend their attitude while the person with access defends nothing." Let's just take a second to absorb that. It is such a pivotal intervention. It stops Rebecca dead in her tracks because it suddenly makes her cowardice entirely visible to every single person in the room. Section 3. The digital receipts. System logs never lie. With the manipulation officially called out, the momentum finally shifts back to reality. Noah from IT and Ethan, this quiet data analyst, dig deep into the archives. And this is where we learn a fundamental rule of modern business. Human beings might lie, they might try to cover things up, but systems absolutely betray those cover-ups.
Noah connects a current clue to a notorious past scandal, the infamous 11:59 p.m. file incident that had rocked the company months ago. And here is the hidden methodology they uncover. During that old scandal, a ghost service account was created, and only one senior executive, Victor Hale, had asked IT to keep that specific account active. Fast forward to today, and that exact same old account is what pushed the confidential memo to the printer at 7:12 a.m. The proof is totally irrefutable. It's just a dull gray row in a system log, but it completely unravels Victor's entire scheme. And that leads to a truly chilling realization for the whole team. The point wasn't the incident itself. The point was to test if the company had truly changed. Victor Hale didn't actually care about the restructuring memo at all. He was literally running a stress test on the company's integrity. He wanted to see if middle management would still bury the truth and punish honest employees just to protect the executives, exactly like they used to. Section 4. True Leadership. Claire Morgan steps in. So, just as Victor is desperately trying to suppress this devastating presentation and arguing that standard corporate processes weren't followed by Maya's investigation, CEO Claire Morgan enters the room. And Olivia, the HR partner, steps up during this incredibly intense glass wall confrontation and delivers this knockout line. Process without integrity is just choreography. Isn't that brilliant? It's the perfect way to explain that hiding behind rules and procedures means absolutely nothing if the intent behind them is corrupt. You're just dancing around the truth. So how does a real CEO handle a systemic betrayal like this? With a total masterclass in crisis leadership. She doesn't just give some fluffy motivational speech, she takes immediate actionable corporate steps. 1. She orders an independent review right then and there. 2. She freezes all disputed team decisions. 3. She officially protects the whistleblowers, Maya, Daniel, Noah, and Ethan. And 4. She instantly removes system access from the accounts tied to Victor's pattern. She literally turns narrative plot points into immediate corporate governance. But honestly, Claire's most important action is diagnosing the deeper systemic issue within their toxic workplace culture. She tells the room, this company did not almost fail because of one bad actor. It almost failed because good people learned to wait for permission to be honest. It's a warning and a huge awakening all at once. Silence had been treated as safety for so long that the greatest threat to the business wasn't actually Victor's scheming. It was everyone else's learned helplessness. Section 5. The core lesson. Process is protection. As the dust finally settles in the office and the true culprits are held accountable, what is the ultimate takeaway from this early morning mystery? It really boils down to this singular truth, summarized perfectly by Maya as she sits at her desk after sunset. Systems remember what people try to erase. You see, in a healthy office, logs and processes might just feel like tedious paperwork. But in a toxic office, properly maintained logs, metadata, and data trails aren't paperwork at all. They are your absolute protection against people who try to manipulate the narrative. Which leaves us with one final provocative question for you to reflect on today. Are you waiting for permission to be honest? Think about your own workplace for a second. When something feels wrong, do you rely on the facts or do you let the loudest voice control the story? Don't let your integrity become just another piece of choreography. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.